What's up, everybody? We are back. John Delarose here, delarose.com. That's DELARROZ.com. I am a comic creator, #1 bestseller, and award-winning at that. And if you like Supergirl, go ahead and check out my Flying Sparks. All my links are in the description below if you want to buy some cool books. All right. This is Supergirl, Volume 5 of the New 52, with a radically new direction. Radical new direction. Radical. I talked pretty one day. I stole that from another YouTuber, but what else isn't stolen from a YouTuber at this point? And Tony Bedard wrote most of this, and there's a crossover with different books with Robert Venditti and Charles Soule. And what happens in this book is there's a crossover, and you kind of only get a part of what's going on. And I don't know where this came from. It kind of came out of nowhere. There's this group of clones like in the science lab, and she's kind of going over Supergirl. They go over the past of what's happening with Supergirl. We've got a Yildiray Sinar on art. I hope I pronounced that right. And it's okay. The art's okay. It's a little inconsistent. I don't really like the haircut they give her here. It's kind of funky looking. But it just goes back to the inconsistency of Supergirl. We had a weird Lobo clone showing up on Earth at the beginning of this, and it eventually drives Kara / Supergirl to get a Red Lantern ring. And she eventually then pairs up with them. And again, it feels like we're missing some crossover stuff. There's like kryptonite in the atmosphere or something like that. And I don't know what's going on in the Superman title at this point. They don't really give a summary page or anything. You just kind of are left to flounder in the middle of this. And while everything's okay, I mean, I don't mind the art. I mean, some of this is pretty exciting stuff. And, you know, she fights a couple villains there. It's interesting. It just doesn't fit with the last volume, and actually doesn't fit with the next volume either. So you kind of like get this just like random crossover out of nowhere that just doesn't work all the way because it needs more background to it to make sense. And it feels like even in the Green Lantern issues here that get shown with it. She flies off when she gets her Red Lantern ring, ends up on the Oa Green Lantern world for a second, and then eventually comes back and has some fights. And it just feels very jumbled and out of place over the course of this, and just doesn't work out very well. Eventually, as you see, Superman gets involved, and she fights with him. And like I said, the art's okay. It's just I'm having trouble following a little bit of what's going on here. She is fighting a villain along with the Red Lanterns who've come to Earth, of course, and then has to deal with the fallout of that. Again, the art changes like quite a bit in here and gets a little bit inconsistent, but is what it is. You see now she has a domino mask with like no eyeballs when she's a Red Lantern here. It's kind of interesting. Kind of interesting look. I actually like it here. It's a very classic pose. And back on Earth, she like stops an alien invasion, basically. And then eventually ditches the Red Lantern ring in the process of this, and comes back recharged as Supergirl. So it was kind of weird. And like I said, it just felt like there were parts missing to this. Whatever's going on in the Superman universe, I don't know. You see the art's a little better here than it was before. I don't know if it's the same artist on Supergirl at this point. I don't think it is. Gosh, it is Emanuela Lupacchino, who starts to do the entire next volume. I actually really like her art. I think she probably does the best job on Supergirl out of the entire New 52 run. And she shows up, and it looks like there's going to be an epilogue where we get some Gen 13 crossover through here. And then that just doesn't happen. So when you get into the next volume, that whole Gen 13 setup is completely gone. So this book's mired in crossovers, and this has been the case probably since Supergirl Volume 3 of the New 52. Everything just kind of has followed something going on in the Superman books, which I'm unfortunately not privy to because I don't have those. And that is not a good thing for a comic book story. It's no wonder this gets canceled after the next volume didn't quite make it. It is... while the story itself is okay, I mean, I don't mind her becoming a Red Lantern, getting her rage or whatever. You don't really know much about the Red Lanterns unless you've been reading Green Lanterns, so you need to read that whole backstory for the crossover. Then you need the whole Superman bit for the crossover. It's just too much. to track down, and it doesn't feel like she's her own book, but rather she's like coloring stories supporting somebody else's book, and that's a problem. And so that's it. Tony Bedard was only brought in to write this crossover, and then he leaves very shortly here for the next volume, and none of this stuff really continues. It just changes again. So very odd. This is because it's just such a mess, I got to call this like a 5.5 out of 10, even though I don't mind the art that much. It's just a tough story to get through. All right, we will be back soon with the final volume of Supergirl New 52. Getting all the way through this stuff is pretty fun, and getting close to the end of just catching up on everything Supergirl. And that's it. Hit that like and subscribe button. We'll see you soon.